The night is silent and the air is cold. You are finally in your own home, feeling safe and secure. But what if the very walls that protect you are hiding a dark secret? What if your new beginning is actually the start of a terminal nightmare? Listen closely, because these are three true, bone-chilling stories of people who moved into new homes only to discover they were never truly alone. Story 1. The underworld next door. It all started when my partner and I finally achieved the dream of buying our first home. It was a modest place in a quiet, friendly neighborhood. For 18 months, life was blissful. Our neighbors were amazing, and the street was peaceful. So, when the house right next door, a much larger, more luxurious property with a garage and a driveway, went up for sale, we didn't hesitate. We bought it and put our old, smaller house up for sale. We chose a Polish couple as the buyers for our old home. They seemed decent enough, although they kept to themselves and only spoke English. Little did we know, the moment they moved in, the peace of our street was dead. Almost immediately the atmosphere changed. At the strangest hours, often in the dead of night, we would hear violent banging against the shared walls. Music would blast at a deafening volume without warning. But the first real sign of danger came when I saw the neighbor's car. It was completely mangled on both sides, as if he had scraped against guardrails at high speed. His excuses were clumsy and made no sense. One evening around 6 p.m, my phone rang. It was the neighbor, sounding absolutely hysterical. He claimed people were outside his house, manually turning his security cameras away to create blind spots. He begged us to call the police. We looked out, and indeed, 2 men were breaking in. The police took 20 minutes to arrive, and by then, the intruders had vanished. Curiously, while the cops were searching, I spotted the husband parking his car 3 streets away and walking back to the scene on foot, as if he was intentionally hiding his vehicle from the authorities. The situation exploded a week later. My partner called me, his voice trembling with pure terror. The neighbor's car had just come screaming through our front garden, tearing up the grass, and slammed directly into their own front door. 2 men jumped out and began frantically loading the car with high-end electronics. The police were faster this time, arriving in 7 minutes. They intercepted the men mid-load. Then, things turned surreal. The man behind the wheel looked the officer in the eye and claimed to be my neighbor, using his actual name. But he made a fatal mistake. In the 9 months they had lived there, my real neighbor had never spoken a word of Dutch. This man, however, spoke fluent Dutch with a thick accent. A violent car chase followed until they were finally boxed in and arrested. But the nightmare wasn't over. Standing there later was the actual neighbor. He was unrecognizable. His face was a pulpy, bloody mess. One eye was swollen shut, his mouth was torn open, and his arm hung at a useless, broken angle, covered in defensive stab wounds. He looked like a man who had been tortured. He refused to cooperate with the police. Later that night, he returned to our porch, trembling and broken. He confessed the truth. He had been involved in something dark and believed hitmen were sent to eliminate him. At 1 a.m, my dog began a low, guttural growl. I checked the camera. There he was again, the bloodied neighbor, standing on our porch in the dark, ringing the bell incessantly. Suddenly, a car turned onto the street. He panicked, scrambled off the porch, and hid in the shadows behind our cars in the driveway, crouching like a hunted animal. His wife eventually arrived, her haunting wails echoing through the empty street as they drove away into the night. We never saw them again.
Story 2. The silhouette in the mirror. In 2017, my family moved into a split-level home in Montreal. My bedroom was positioned at ground level, sharing a wall with the garage on one side and a large window facing the backyard on the other. The window had old blinds with missing panels, leaving vertical gaps into the dark backyard. On the garage side of my room was a large closet with sliding mirrored doors. Because of this, no matter where I lay in bed, I could always see the reflection of that backyard window in the mirror. About a year after moving in, I began hearing things late at night. Shuffling,
soft footsteps on the grass, and the sound of something brushing against the siding of the house. I would pause my videos and listen in total silence. I could swear I heard heavy, rhythmic breathing just inches away from the glass. Every time I told my father, he checked the yard and found nothing. For years, I lived in fear. I started avoiding looking at the window directly. Instead, I would compulsively watch the mirror. On several occasions, I saw a dark silhouette move across the gaps in the reflection. My father remained skeptical, even when the Ring camera showed nothing, because the person knew exactly where the camera's blind spots were. The terrifying truth finally came to light in December 2021. A massive windstorm was hitting the city. My father went into the backyard to secure the patio furniture. As he stood in the dark, the light from my bedroom window illuminated a patch of the yard. His heart stopped. There, standing completely motionless, just inches away from my window, was a man. He was staring directly into my room, watching me. When my father yelled and lunged at him, the man didn't hesitate. He scaled the high back fence with the agility of a professional and vanished. Someone had been standing there, night after night, for years, watching me sleep. When we went to warn the neighbor, she reacted with bizarre hostility, threatening us for knocking on her door. Was she hiding him? I have since moved rooms, but the thought that someone spent years of their life standing in the dark, watching mine, is a shadow that will never leave me.